Have you ever noticed how quickly your mind decides what something is good, bad, right, wrong before you've even had a chance to feel it? Before the moment is truly seen, it is already categorized, labeled, closed. Today, I want to invite you into something gentler, something quieter, something deeply powerful. In Buddhism, there is a simple yet transformative practice: observing without judging. It sounds small, almost passive, but in truth, it is one of the most radical acts of freedom you can offer yourself. Because the moment you stop arguing with your experience, you stop creating extra suffering on top of what already is. Judgment is often the first thing we add to any experience, and usually without realizing it. Something happens, and almost instantly the mind says, this is good or this is bad. I like this or I hate this. This should not be happening, or I need more of this. That reaction feels natural, even protective, but in reality, it is where much of our inner conflict begins. The moment we judge, we are no longer just experiencing life, we are resisting it or clinging to it. And resistance and clinging are the two main ways suffering is created in the mind. When you label a feeling as wrong, if you don't just feel the emotion, you also feel shame, fear, or frustration on top of it. When you label a situation as unfair, you don't just notice what happened, you start fighting reality itself. Judgment turns simple moments into mental battles. It divides your inner world into parts that are acceptable and parts that must be hidden or fixed. Over time, this habit creates distance from yourself. You stop listening and start arguing with your own experience. But conflict does not heal conflict. Only understanding does. When judgment softens, space appears. And in that space, suffering begins to loosen its grip. Observation in Buddhism is not about controlling your mind or forcing it to be quiet. It is about learning how to see clearly without interference. Most of the time, when we notice a thought or emotion, we immediately try to change it, fix it, analyze it, or push it. Away we turn awareness into a tool for management. But true observation is different. It is simple presence. It is the willingness to let what is happening be exactly as it is, without trying to improve it or escape from it. When you observe without control, you stop treating your inner life like a problem that needs solving. You begin to treat it like a landscape that needs understanding. You notice a thought arise, and instead of saying, I need to stop thinking this, you say, this is what the mind is doing right now. You notice sadness, and instead of saying, I shouldn't feel this, you say, this is sadness. That shift may seem small, but it changes everything. Control tightens the mind. Observation relaxes it. Control creates pressure. Observation creates space. And in that space, awareness becomes gentle instead of forceful. You are no longer wrestling with your experience. You are learning from it. And learning in this way becomes an act of compassion toward yourself. When you stop judging what you feel, something subtle but powerful begins to happen inside you. Your inner world becomes safer. Normally, when an emotion shows up, there is an immediate reaction that says, this is too much, this is wrong, or this needs to go away. That reaction creates fear around your own feelings. You start to believe that some parts of you are unacceptable, and so you tense up, shut down, or distract yourself. But when judgment drops, that tension dissolves. You no longer have to protect yourself from yourself. Non-judgment creates emotional safety because it allows every experience to be met with openness instead of resistance. Sadness does not have to justify itself. Anger does not have to hide. Fear does not have to apologize for existing. They are allowed to be seen without being attacked. And when emotions feel safe to arise, they also feel safe to pass. Clarity grows in that safety. When you are not busy fighting what you feel, you can actually understand it. You start to see where your reactions come from, what your patterns are, and what your heart is really asking for. Without judgment, awareness becomes like a calm mirror. It reflects your inner life honestly, but without distortion. And from that clarity, wise and gentle change becomes possible. In Buddhism, one of the most freeing insights is that thoughts and emotions are not who you are. They are events in the mind, not your identity. Just like sounds arise and fade, or clouds form and dissolve in the sky, mental states come into being and then pass away. But when you don't see this clearly, you start to take every thought personally. You believe the story it tells you. You build your sense of self around temporary experiences. When a fearful thought appears, you think, I am afraid. When anger arises, you think, I am angry. But the Buddhist view gently shifts that too. Fear is here, anger is here. That language matters because it separates awareness from what is being observed. You are not the emotion. You are the space in which the emotion is known. This understanding brings enormous relief. If everything that arises is conditioned and impermanent, then nothing that appears in the mind has the power to define you forever. Pain is not permanent. Confusion is not permanent. Even joy is not permanent. Everything moves when you observe thoughts and feelings as passing phenomena. You stop clinging to the pleasant and fighting the unpleasant. You meet both with balance. And in that balance, you begin to taste a deeper peace that does not depend on what the mind is doing in any given moment. When you see without judging, compassion arises naturally. You do not have to force it. It comes from understanding instead of effort. The moment you stop labeling your experience as wrong or unacceptable, you begin to treat yourself with kindness. And when you treat yourself with kindness, that same quality starts to extend outward to others. Judgment creates separation. It draws lines between me and you, right and wrong, worthy and unworthy. Compassion dissolves those lines. When you observe your own struggles without attacking yourself, you start to recognize the same patterns in other people. You see that they, too, are acting from conditioning, fear, desire, and pain. Just like you. This changes how you respond. Instead of reacting with blame or superiority, you respond with understanding. Instead of closing your heart, you keep it open. Compassion is not weakness. It is clarity with warmth. It is seeing reality as it is and still choosing care in Buddhism. Wisdom and compassion grow together. When you understand that no one is fixed and nothing is permanent, you stop taking behavior so personally. You stop hardening around it. You meet life with softness instead of armor, and that softness is powerful. It heals relationships, heals the way you speak to yourself, heals the world, one moment of awareness at a time.